Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I am Bharatram Reddy, Program Manager at Geo Institute. A warm welcome to you all. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker for today's masterclass on Ethical AI 2.0 by Mr. Shrey Agarwal. Shrey is a principal consultant at Fractal, based out of London. He has applied AI and analytics from financial services to hospitality and has led the development of responsible AI framework for multiple banks in the UK and US. He is an active blogger and has given his talks on ethical AI at major AI conferences across the globe. His contribution to the development of technology was recognized by Microsoft, and he won the most valued professional in AI award for the 3 consecutive years in 2020, 21, and 22. He is also an expert for the United Nations UNICEF Fact, and he has recently authored a book on responsible AI published by Springer. On a final note, he is also a fascinating individual, and we are very grateful for his presence among us today. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Shrey. It's over to you, Shrey, from now on.
Thank you so much. That was a very celebrity kind of introduction. Also, there's one more thing. I'm also associated with Geo Institute. I have taken a module on responsible and ethical AI in the previous batch, in the current batch, which is going to graduate very, very soon. We'll also talk about that in a few minutes. Great. Thank you so much and welcome to the session. And thank you for spending and taking out time from your schedule for this session. Today, we'll be talking about responsible and ethical AI. One of the very, very important area. This I'm not going to talk about. Bharat has also already introduced. I may look a bit different from the picture. Okay, so what is responsible AI? Responsible AI is ensuring that whatever AI work you do, whatever AI module you make, whatever AI models you make are responsible and ethical. That is, you practice or you ensure that you don't practice or your model does not create any kind of penalization for the society. Now, what are these penalties? We'll come and talk about this. Now, when we talk about ethical or responsible AI, we need to understand they are predominantly 4 factors, but with technology moving faster and it at a great pace and becoming more complex, this would become larger. So the first one I feel is fairness. That is, your model should be fair to everybody. It should treat everybody equally, should ensure that the results of the model or the decision from the model is equitable. Number 2 is explainable, that the model should be able to explain you what's happening under the hood and just not give you some complex calculus equations. Private, it should ensure that there's no data leakage when it comes to a model development or model training or any such event. That is, your data should be protected, should not be sent or should not be accessible to people whom you don't want it to be accessed, and it should be only used for the purpose for which you have shared your data, especially personal data. Accountable, you should ensure that the model which you developed or the AI decision which is happening is still fit to use. Now, what I mean by still fit to use, we'll take the question in 2 minutes, please. What do we mean by fit to use? That is, what you have developed today should be, and what, for example, if you have developed a model in December last year, you are using it today, you should ensure that it is still fit to use, that has not decayed and it has not become stale, and the performance of the model, the purpose of the model, and model has not gone rogue. That is what we mean by accountability. Yes, Mayuri, you had something to ask. And he will take all the questions towards the end, but I'll take this right now.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay, great. So don't worry, we'll take all the question towards the end. Keep typing in your questions and we'll look into the question. I'll not take more than 20 minutes for this. Now, this is typical data science life cycle. If you see, A data science lifecycle start with a very simple business understanding and hypothesis testing, where we try to ensure that we create or we write down everything which you want to do. What is the use case? What are the pain points? Where the data would come from? Where what are the expectation from the model? How the model be used? Who would be using? What approvals are required? What algorithms would be used? Everything is defined in the first stage. And if you see the dark blue boxes, talks about how can you implement or how can you superimpose responsible AI here. So when you're doing this, we'll also write down, note down and declare everything we know about responsible AI. What are the responsible AI facets which we need to implement? What would be the matrix? What is my appetite for being discriminatory, leaking data, being non-explainable? Everything would be mentioned here. When you gather the data to make a model, we need to ensure that there's complete privacy. I don't want anybody to know about my medical history, about my DNA. So these days, models or machine learning and AI is used for precision medicine, and they take out your DNA information, medical history to come out with medicine which would only be suitable for you. So I don't want those information to get leaked. I don't want anybody to know how much did I spend on alcohol and gaming and gambling last month. So all this kind of sensitive information should be hidden, should not be accessible to everybody. And if it is accessible, it should be sanitized, added some noise, encrypted, so that nobody can recognize me from the information which you have. I would never want that to happen. So that is where data privacy comes in. And then EDA, which is called exploratory data analysis, feature engineering. Here we take the data, do some statistics on top of it, do some mathematics on top of it, and try to convert their data into something which is more insightful, right? So for example, from date of birth, I'll subtract this year and take out your age, which is more meaningful, right? I'll take out your total income, subtract all your expenses, and find out how much you're left with. That I'll find out something called disposal income. And then I may take your disposal income, divide by number of kids or dependent you have, and try to find out how much is your disposal income per capita, per head in your family. So those kind of things I'll do. When I'm doing this thing, I'll make sure there's no bias. That is, I'm treating married, single, male, female, Asian, non-Asian, or black, white, colored, everybody equally. My data creation or engineering does not incorporate any kind of bias, which is very, very predominant in the industry. Model development, then I take this data and put it into an algorithm, and algorithm creates a model. Now, when algorithm creates a model, most of the time, my mom would not understand what the model is, but most of her decisions are based on that model. So for example, if she goes to an e-commerce website, she's recommended something that, hey, you may also want to buy this. People like you also bought this. And she's like, why should I buy? The answer is the model is recommending, but she does not understand why and how, right? She goes to a bank and the bank says that, hey, your loan is declined. And she asks why, and you give her a complex answer. She does not understand why. And that is why XAI come in. XAI stand for explainable AI. Whatever is happening under the hood, you need to allow a common man to understand, and that has to be in his native language. If you go to say, if you come to India and you have a model and your explainability is in French, it is as good as complex calculus for me, right? It has to be in a common native language which people understand. And that is where you need to talk about explainability. Then come model bias. Now understand, if Shreya Agarwal is a male and have two kids, and the model says we'll give him a loan of $10,000. What if Shreya Agarwal was female with two kids? Will the model give me the same result? That is the model dependent upon my demographics, which is my age, my gender, my marital status, my number of kids, my ethnicity, my nationality? Does the model takes into accountable all this thing? A long time back, single mothers never got financial support from the bank. Does the bank do the same thing right now? Most of the time, prices are charged higher by transport company if you book your taxis when your phone battery is very, very low. So how can you tackle this? Now, this is not only tackling, this is first about identifying there is a problem and then about addressing that problem. So that is where model bias and privacy comes into being. And then I talked about model accountability. When I was young, I'm still young, not very old. So when I was into my early 20s, we never thought of investing into bitcoins or say on stocks or anything because we didn't have that much knowledge, right? But if you talk about a 20-year-old kid right now, 2021, even younger, they are investing money in cryptocurrencies and stock market and whatnot. They are opening startups. I've seen 18 years, 21 years old kids opening startups. And at my time, when I was 2021, I was thinking of what to eat for dinner, right? So that is how the world is changing, and that is how fast the world is changing. So a model which you make on data, which is for today, and you use it next year, it's of no use. So are you able to understand that your model is still fit to use given the change in behavior pattern, change in lifestyle? Does your model need a refresh? So that is what model accountability comes in. And all this needs to be tracked every day. It cannot be that you did it today and then you forgot about it. No. Right? Okay. Moving forward, we talked about fair AI. Fair AI talks about uh, the impartial and just treatment of behavior without favoritism and discrimination. As I told you, fairness is all about ensuring that everything your model does, it does without considering your gender, your marital status, your age, anything. Imagine a situation where you and your friend both are equally capable, absolutely equally capable, but your friend is from, say, Australia and you are from India, right? Or your friend is white and you are non-white, right? And you both file an application and you get rejected. And the algorithm rejects because it feels that most of the time, non-white students are indisciplined in nature. How fair would that be? Stereotypical behavior. Similarly, couple of months, basically a year back or so, what happened? Apple came out with a credit card, and this credit card was applied by a spouse of an Apple employee, and she got 1/10 the credit limit of her husband. Now, interestingly, both wife and husband used to file a joint income tax, despite the fact that wife and husband had similar income. The wife got 1/10 of the credit limit, and that happens every day. Means if you see, if you and your spouse or you or your partner or you or your girlfriend are similar in most of the thing, be it in the office, they get less salaries, but there's a stereotypical behavior. Now, if you take that data, train a model also replicate the same thing, because a model is doing exactly or is learning from the data which you're feeding inside the model. So if you're feeding garbage, it will throw out garbage, right? So those are the few things which is happening. Similar examples I'll give you, which is very interesting example. The first example is Amazon's AI algorithm for jobs. So when a couple of years back, when you have to apply for a job, Amazon use AI tool or machine learning tool, which would assess your application. And predominantly, blatantly, Amazon rejected all the applications which has a word female or woman into it. So if you are a female, your application get rejected. If you have done something for female, your application get rejected. If you studied in a female college, it used to get rejected. So that was one thing which was caught. There was a lot of noise, and then Amazon stopped it, but the damage was done. Similarly, Google photo recognition AI application, which was again old, uh, was very accurate, was 99.99% accurate to recognize a face for a white man. But when it was when the same application was given a image of a black or a dark-skinned female, it recognized it as chimpanzees and ape. It was not able to. So that is how discriminatory the model was. Right. Google used to display advertisement. If you see this advertisement for jobs on Google, used to display advertisement for men where the pay was 1,800 times more than their female counterpart. Right. So, and there are a lot, means like in US court, it used to happen. Um, and then Bank of America was fined because it took higher interest rate from few people just because of their race and national origin. So that is all about fairness. So if you see a couple of things on which a person is discriminated: color, gender, race, age, marital status, nationality, you'll have more disability and everything. These are just indicative list. This I just talked about how a couple of application had a very higher, if you see 100% accuracy for light color male, but did not have similar accuracy for dark color females. The accuracy was very, very bad, right? So if you see 25% and 46% kind of thing. There are laws which are coming out. So we all know European Union, or basically European country, are very, very advanced in coming out, or they are leaders when it comes to coming out with laws and regulations. There are other countries. India has come out with some laws. Singapore has come out with laws which will ensure fairness and non-discriminatory machine learning model, privacy in machine learning and AI models. As you talked about explainable AI, we just don't have to explain the model. We have to explain the data. Why was that data chosen? Why did you take into consideration my alcohol consumption? Why didn't you take into consideration the charity which I do, right? So those kind of information. Why did you choose what you chose? Model, what is happening inside a model? I don't understand maths and statistics, so you need to tell me in simple English. Error, why did a model make an error? What was the error? Due to that error, how much penalty will I be facing? Penalty in sense, how much loss will I have? Decision loss and financial loss, everything. What is the cost of that model for the business? If I implement a model, and model is not always perfect, if it is 99% accurate, what is that 1% lost for the business? Will I lose 10,000 pounds or will I lose 10 million pounds? Will that 1% have people like me, or that 1% will have people like Bill Gates, right? So that 1% makes a lot of difference, that who falls into that 1%. And counterfactuals. What do I need to do to change the decision? So if model has said, oh, I'll give you, I will not give you admission in Harvard. What do I need to do to get admission in Harvard should also be told by the algorithm, right? So these are surrogate model. I'll not get deep into surrogate model. So surrogate models are basically when a model is not able to explain itself, we use a surrogate model so that surrogate model is able to explain the model which cannot explain itself, right? Is basic like a support system. So these are XAI framework, which I told you. We need to explain the data, we need to explain model, we need to explain business, and we need to explain the key performance indicator of the business. Everything needs to be explained. You just can't take up one area and say, I've explained the model, explainability is done. That does not happen. Accountability, it talks about, it talks about, as I told, it talks about how your model is performing. When your model was good, it looks like a brand new car, but after 6 months, it got so much dent that it's of no use. So to ensure that model don't get stale and decayed, to ensure that your model is restrained or retrained on time with the right data distribution. That is, if there's a change in behavioral, change in economics, change in environment, your model needs to change. So are you retraining your model? It is to ensure that you are still using the right kind of variables and features and not something which are stale or which are outdated. To ensure that your result today are similar to that when you made your model. So when you made your model, 80% of people were given positive decision. Is it happening today, or has model gone rogue and is taking something which is not right? to ensure you consider right and topical data points. For example, pre-COVID, I never shopped online so much. Post-COVID, I'm doing a lot of online shopping. Pre-COVID, my transport expenses was very high. I used to go to office daily. Post-COVID, it is not. So are you taking those kind of changes, which is in the data, um, right? Which is in the data, um, and to keep a check on the error is how much is the error is increasing in the model or not, and to alert in the case the model has gone rogue. Privacy, a couple of things. A couple of years back, Netflix launched something which Netflix launched some data for an online Kaggle competition, or basically online competition where they had data of this 500 user and their movie ratings. There were a couple of interesting and intelligent people. They were able to combine this with electoral data and find out who is watching what kind of movie on Netflix. You may not want your parents to know what you watch on Netflix, right? So those kind of privacy should be maintained, right? And if you can read a couple of things, there are a lot of data which get exposed. Hackers hacks the data. So how do you ensure that data privacy is maintained is the very, very important part. And that is done in two ways. One is by design and one is by technology. There are algorithms like differential privacy, federated learning, which does it. By design, you use minimum data required. You use the data for the purpose it is. You erase the data once the work is done. You stores the data properly, you collect the data ethically. I know what you're collecting, right? And I should know why you are collecting some information from me, right? I should be able to understand what Google is collecting or what Apple is collecting data when I'm using the phone, and what will they do of that data. So those kind of things are very, very important. And when Apple or Google stores the data, I hope they are using it safely. I need to know that. I need to know that you are not giving my data to 10,000 people who will come to know what I'm doing right now and where I am and with whom I am, right? Similarly, there are a couple of more things, RAI and sustainability. Sustainability is a very big thing these days, that whenever you use computers and wherever you use algorithms, you emit a lot of carbon. So carbon emission is is a big problem these days. So how I'd ensure that my AI algorithms are only used when it is used and not to play around and destroy the environment. Metaverse, you must have heard about metaverse. And again, responsible AI, they are cases where teenagers like 16, 17 years old, even less than that, 14, 15 years old kid in metaverse are creating avatars and giving lap dances and earning money, which is absolutely wrong. So how do you put a regulation around it? Blockchains, that how do you ensure that everything in blockchain is transparent to the owner of the data? How is my money flowing in blockchain? I should know about it. Generative AI, ChatGPT 4, Bird, and all this. I'm writing something, it's giving me output. I'm writing something, giving me the image. Is it telling me that from where did it take the image? Is it telling me from where that image has been inspired? Is it telling me, is it plagiarized or is it original? And for example, you sent me your project submission. Do I ever know that did you write it or did ChatGPT write it, right? So those kind of things should be known to me, should be, and that's responsible AI. Otherwise, you are taking my information, adding Bharat's information, giving it to somebody else, and he thinks, oh, it's so great, it's so original, while it is not. So there should be references. Because I'm not against using ChatGPT or any kind of generative AI, but credibility or basically references are important. You need to give credits to people from where this data has been taken. So for example, I write to one of these generative AI algorithm that convert the face of Shreya Agarwal the way Leonardo da Vinci would have drawn it. And it does it, right? And you give that image to me. And oh, wow, this is amazing painting. But did you write, okay, credits from Leonardo da Vinci, credit from this, credit from this, credit from this. These are 5 sources which was used to convert my image to an image which a Leonardo da Vinci would have created. So those are important things, and this would go more complex. So we did this at Geo. We took a 20-hour session for 60 students. We had more than 100 contact hours where they came and talked to the faculties and members. We did more than 10 cutting edge RAI project, and I'm literally the cutting edge RAI project. Thousands and million hours of learning. They was learning from every source. Several new opportunities open up because there are a lot of job opportunity or only for responsible AI, and a lot of immersive learning. And to give you a feeling, these were some sessions which we took. These were the presentation the students gave, and we created responsible AI, ethical AI project for student dropout prediction, credit defaults, employee attrition, peer-to-peer lending, credit risk assessment, recidivism, where is the courts and judgments, and insurance problem. These are only 7, 8. We have done 10 to 12 of such mind-blowing project where we used a data science lifecycle, embedded responsible AI, and showed the world that, hey, this is how responsible AI should be done. And as I say, there's no AI without responsible AI. Thank you, and we'll be opening up for questions.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your insights, Mr. Shrey. So we have a couple of questions. So I will read out to you for yourself. So does AI imply errors that human would have committed, or does it throw more errors than what a comparable human would? If there are errors because of a model deployment, is it not the human behind the model who is responsible for the error in the first place?
Absolutely, absolutely. Number one, whatever it amplifies. So there's concept called error multiplication. It does. Number two, it will throw more error than human being, because human being would not be able to track small uh, pattern which a machine is able to tackle. And of course, a machine is never at fault. It's a person who have done. When you shoot somebody, the gun would not be sent behind the bars. You would be sent behind the bars. So a person who deploys the model, develops the model, ideates, who should be the fault because he did not do the right checks and balances. Because of you, I am not given a loan. And because of I am not given a loan, I will have life-altering problems which nobody can solve. So you should be penalized for that. You should be answerable for that. How can a model answerable? So human is very, very important here in the entire chain. Human, so it's called human in the loop, HITL. The concept is called HITL, human in the loop. Okay, let's go to the next question.
So the next question is, what is your take on NIST AI framework on ethics that was released in January 2023?
So you're talking about the NASSCOM framework, I guess, Vinay. The meaty NASSCOM framework. Me and my company was one of the key members on designing that framework. I'm working with meaty, India AI, India.ai, which they call it. I'm working with NASSCOM, Government of India, and me and my colleagues and my company designed this. And I'll tell you, this is one of the most advanced and one of the most comprehensive framework which has come out in the world, and we should be proud of that Indian government took a first step in telling the world that, hey, we need this. And this is stage one. We are still working on version 2, version 3, version 4, and very soon laws will be framed all around it. So I think so it's a very good framework. Maybe I'm biased because we developed it. But yes, it's very, very comprehensive. A lot of countries have appreciated it. A lot of companies are appreciating this.
And the other question is, how ChatGPT ensure the data it is presenting it is correct?
It does not. It is not correct. So a lot of time you must have seen the news. People are asking questions to ChatGPT. It's giving wrong answer. So it is not. But you don't. So if I have asked 100 questions, one of them are wrong, I would not know that it is wrong. I think all the hundreds are correct. It's not giving me a probability score that, hey, this answer has a accuracy of this much, and that is where transparency needs to be there. For example, my niece, 12 years old, don't understand how ChatGPT works. She thinks whatever ChatGPT or Google says is set in stone. It's words of God. Missy don't even believe that when we were in school, there was nothing called Google. He's like, how do you survive without Google? Right. So we don't know the accuracy, and it does not.
So as a follow-up question, then how to trust in that case ChatGPT?
You can't trust. That is what I'm trying to say. It will take time. They have to make it transparent. They have to make it explainable. They have to tell you the probability. You can't trust. ChatGPT is for your help. It gives you an answer. look at it. If you do your research, if it is good, it is good. If it's wrong, it is wrong. It will never give you 100% right answer. There's no way it can give. It's a language model. A model is not always 100% accurate.
Okay. So the other question is, what are your views on deep fake technology as a conflict with RAA concept?
Deepfake technologies, number one, is about how do it create something which is duplicate. So, for example, in Russia-Ukraine war, a lot of videos were on Instagram where a Ukrainian or Russian were crying that, hey, the other party did something with me, and used to get sympathy, likes. They were all fake videos, all fake videos. They used cyber warfare to get public sympathy. So that's wrong. And that is where responsible AI, there's no conflict. Basically, on deep learning also, there should be responsible AI. I should know that when you are giving me a video and image, it's a fake image. Generate, and even if it is not fake image, so it is generated or polished by AI. So example, you take my image, put into an algorithm, it is edited and you make me look like superstar, right? I should, and you send it to Bharat. Bharat needs to know that it is been edited. Otherwise, when he meets me, he'll say, oh, what? I thought you to be, look like Brad Pitt, and you're looking like a duplicate of Brad Pitt, right? So you need to tell that information. Where is that transparency missing? Where is that privacy? Or you take my image, convert it into 10,000 amazing, and post it on different website. There's no privacy. What you're doing of my image. When you upload an image on somewhere, what they do of that image after transforming the image, you have no clue. Is it stored, deleted? Who touches it? No clue. You don't want that to happen. So that is why responsible AI is for everything, be it ChatGPT, deep learning, everything. It is a framework. I told you, no AI without responsible AI. Means when you say AI, it has to have responsiveness into it. So, for example, when you buy a car, it has to have a seat belt to it. There's no car without seat belt, right? So when you buy a car, there's by default seatbelt. You don't say, oh, this is a car with seatbelt, this is a car without seatbelt. So you can't say this is AI without RAI, this is AI with RAI. No, AI means RAI.
Yeah, and there are a couple of questions more related to the program. I hope you can answer this as well. How
Yeah.
is ADS program at Geo Institute different from other programs that are offered online?
Okay, I'll give you a simple idea, and then Bharat can add. So at Geo Institute, we talk about cutting edge technologies, right? We are talking about technologies which are responsible AI. We are talking about deep learning. We are talking about computer vision, and it's very, very immersive. Number two, it's residential program. So when I Miss Bharat would be able to tell, when students were in the class, they were talking to me for like 2 hours. Outside the class, they were talking to me for 12 hours every day till 2 a.m. They were interacting with me. So understand, the residential program has more faculty student interaction. They learned more outside the class than inside the class. The kind of projects we did was very corporate and very, you must have seen the pictures, were very corporate, were like company boardroom presentations. We were able to join in different concepts. So in my paper, I can talk about, students talk about machine learning, they talk about deep learning, they talk about statistics, they talk about responsible AI, they talked about visualization, they talked about everything. So we were able to come. So I'll say every project at Geo Institute is a capstone project in simple word. And the faculties, means I've met a couple of them. They are from, I guess, across the world. They are faculty from the top-notch US universities, top-notch industry professional. And it is not that if you find a faculty who is somewhere in some corner of the world, who is best in his thing, Geo would send a plane and fly them in. That is how they do it. And I'm telling you, miss, I postponed my class thrice, and then also, no, you need to come and teach. And that is how committed they are towards good instructors, good students. And this, it's very flexible. And miss, I'll not even talk about the hygiene factor, like rooms and college and libraries. Those are, of course, there will be world class, because anything which is built new is built better. Bharat, we can go further, please.
Yeah, so further to this question, can you dig deep into the curriculum at Geo Institute from your experience?
So I told you, we have classes on statistics, probability. We teach programming in parallel. We have deep learning, machine learning taught by the best of the faculty. We have responsible AI. We have computer vision. We are coming up with courses on generative AI. We had workshops. So on strategies, we have workshops on behavioral technologies. We have workshop on D3, which is one D3.js and Tableau, which are visualization tool. I can't even list. We had workshops on finance, banking, marketing, you name it, and it's there. So it's a 1 year full-time course. Nobody gives you a 1 year full-time course. They're like either part-time or 6 months, or it's basically a BTech engineering, and you have one module or two module or three module specialization in AI. It's a pure play AI course. And 1 year full-time, you understand how much, because even if they teach you everything, there's more space to teach you more.
Yes. And further to add, the program is very properly structured with respect to the starting from the foundation, core, and then the advanced electives. So you will be able to explore all sort of information related to ANDS program when you join this program. And the other more relevant question towards the program is, can you what job roles can one expect after doing ADS program from Geo Institute, and also what are the job roles you can explore with the responsible AI itself?
I should not answer this. You should go to LinkedIn, check about jobs, responsible AI, ethical AI. You'll get hundreds of jobs. And about what you will expect from after AI, yes, it all depends upon you. If as a student, I do not learn, you don't expect anything. But if I'm talking about somebody who have given 80% to 100% of his time and energy into the course, there's no stopping. It's like the placement just got over, and most of the students have got placed within a week or even less than that, right? So a job will depend upon where do you want to get into and where the market is that time. For example, today the market is um, on talking about generative AI, chat GPT. If you can talk about that in your interview, you get a job. If you can't, then you can't, right? So it all depends upon what we can give you all the weapons to go to interview. Which weapon to fire depends upon you, right? We give you bullets, we give you gun. How to use them is your right. So the focus should be what you can learn from Geo rather than what is the return. Return is always amazing as long as if you learn properly, right? Internationally, I believe that's mostly in India. Internationally, no college, not even Harvard guarantees you placement. The concept of placement is in India, and with network Geo have, with the reputation which you have, the kind of student and the faculty and the curriculum they have, the international exchange program which you go through, there's no stopping. There's nothing where either Geo would place you, and up and above, even you can apply somewhere and you'll get a job.
So there is one further question on the deep fake technology. So still it is freely used and exploited for capitalistic gains or for the worst warfare in case of Russia?
Both.
Ukraine.
There's no that's why we need laws and regulations and people like you who can put responsible AI on top of it. Everywhere, deepfakes are like Donald Trump, a video where he's speaking something nonsense came up, which was a deepfake, and it was more original than the original videos of his.
Okay, so one last question, maybe I might be a correct person to answer this. How many credits are covered in Geo Institute AADS program? So when it comes to the AADS program offered by Geo Institute, it covers total 42 credits, which are spread across four quarters. Each quarter is further divided into two terms, term 1 and term 2. So at the end of this program, you will be having a 420 lecture hours contacted with the faculty. And for each lecture hour, you will be spending another 3 to 5 hours with respect to lab and doing some tutorial and the projects or assignments or the group assignments. So it's a total full-fledged program which will exceed up to the 1200 hours, 1200 contact hours for the student within a year. So yeah, thank you, Shrey, for joining us today. And this is very insightful for all the attendees who has thrown the new light on the responsible AI and which need to be implemented in all the algorithms built using the ML and other AI tools. You're on mute.
Thank you. Keep in touch. I'm on LinkedIn with the same name. You can get in touch with Bharat for further detail on the course and everything. And with me, if you need any kind of mentoring or career advice on AI at large, machine learning, AI, data science, or anything under the sun, we can talk about that. Great. Thank you so much. And oh, by the way, I also have authored a book on responsible AI. So if you would like, you can go to Amazon, write Responsible AI by Shrey Agarwal. You will have it. It's a bit expensive, but then there are ways you know how to read a book. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for joining today and giving your time.